There you go.
What's this?
To sync it up, sync all the cameras up.
So you just clap?
I clap, and then when I put them all together, I just look for the clap. And then so I know that's where all the videos start at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
No, I don't.
Welcome, everyone. Hi. You know who this is? This is a super special guest. This is my friend Travis.
Nice to meet you.
How's it going, brother?
Good.
Travis and I have been friends since literally the first day since we moved to Texas.
It
right?
was. I believe we met each other across our fence, wasn't it?
I think it was. And then we came out to your backyard.
Yeah.
Remember that we were chatting and having a beer?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was literally like our introduction to Texas was meeting Travis and Aaron. And since then, we've become really good friends. And we were just talking before we started the podcast, as the car slows down and it tries to figure something out, that the cool thing about our relationship is we both come from very different backgrounds, but we just get along so great, you know? Like, and that's a really cool, beautiful thing. And so for today's video, I mean, everyone who follows me on my YouTube, you know that, I have a Tesla, I have a self-driving car. And so one of the things I wanted to do today is bring Travis along for a drive. So we're going up to one of their properties to put down some feed, right, for the stuff out there?
Yes, sir, for wildlife, mainly deer, for deer season. So
Yeah.
Apologize if anybody doesn't like hunting. That's what I do.
I'm
but,
sure.
But yeah, it's a nice little drive, and I think this part I don't think you and Cindy have been out here, so
Yeah.
Something different.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited. So we're gonna go out there, and then the idea is we're gonna let the car drive itself on the way to the property. And if you're new to the channel, you'll see that there is little warnings that the screen will give that it says like a blue light, and then the blue light just basically means that the car is asking me to pay attention, to make sure that I'm paying attention to the road, and that when you see me doing a little nag or like a little tug on the wheel, that's me just letting the car know that I'm alive. So, and the goal here is to just let the car do its thing up to the property. And if the car makes it there on its own, great. And if it doesn't, we'll intervene and we'll figure out how to get it there. So, yeah. So give the audience a little bit of an introduction, what you've done for a living, sort of like, what your exposure is to Tesla and stuff like that, just so that people know and they're watching.
Well, as Mr. Farzad has explained, we have two different upbringings, two different backgrounds of growing up. My background is, I grew up in a small town. Now it's big, farming, ranching. I went to college for a little bit, and most of my adult life I was in the oil field. Worked all over the U.S. for about 10 plus years. And so my idea on electric cars like this Tesla we're driving in, it's definitely new to me. Be honest with you, prior to meeting our neighbors, I really didn't care for it because I think the message behind it is great, but at the end of the day, I mean, you can't do nothing without some type of petroleum, and most of this car is made up of it one way or another. So
like the plastics and stuff and the
Yes,
rubber,
sir.
right? Yeah.
all that. So I think it's a great idea. I just think we still got long ways to go, and we'll see over the years.
Yeah. And so you've been in this car more than a few times, right? I think we've taken drives, maybe a few times, maybe like 2 or 3 times.
Probably 4 or 5. Yeah.
4 or 5.
Mhm.
And I remember, I think we did the self-driving thing. What was it? Like a while ago, right? In Georgia
went out to
somewhere.
eat. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that.
Date night.
That was like 6-8 months ago, maybe close to a year now, something like that.
No, that was
Wasn't
probably
that?
a year and a half.
It's that long.
Yeah.
Okay. So you haven't experienced the self-driving for the last year and a half,
No,
basically.
not at all.
So what I'm really curious to get your reaction on, well, first, is this road 25? Do you know if it's 25
I think
or
it's 50.
50?
At least that's what I do.
All right. Well, we're gonna go 40. We're gonna go 40 here. So I think if the car doesn't see any speed limits and it's like a one lane, it will just default to what it thinks it's safest. And in this case, I think it's 25. But I can, so you see what I did there? I
Yes,
overrid.
Mhm.
So the car will listen to my orders.
There
You know,
you go.
it's like I'm like its
Commands.
master. Exactly. Do what I say. And so I have control over the car in that respect. And so what I'm really curious to get your reaction on is, do you remember how the car behaved, you know, a year and a half ago when we were driving it around? Do you remember anything as far as how the car behaved?
Not really, just
Okay.
because it was, you know, it was a year and a half ago.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Got it.
but I thought it was really, really cool that, you know, I want to say after we got done eating, the car was on the other side of the street, and you pulled out your cell phone and you moved it over
Yeah.
across the street, you know, so we can get in. I thought that was pretty awesome.
Yeah. That's they call that the summon feature. It still needs a lot of work though. It's one of those things that the team is working on. And I don't know if you notice with this latest version, what I really have enjoyed with the latest versions, and we'll see if you get the same experience, is that it seems a lot more aware of its surroundings. So like, you know, if there's a car coming down, and then like the lane is or the road is a little tight, it will, you know, move over, and it handles curves. It seems a lot more smoothly. So hopefully by the end of the drive, the goal should be that I don't touch the wheel or the pedals at all, and the car just takes us to your property without doing anything. How do you think the car's doing so far?
I think it's pretty good.
Okay.
To be honest with you.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into some questions so that people can kind of maybe get an idea of where you're at and make for some good conversation. So, what's your overall feel about where do you think electric cars are going in the next, like, say 5 to 10 years? Like, how do you think that transition, or do you think there's going to be a transition? How do you think about that?
Well, I mean, there already is a transition, right? I mean, you see them all over the place. All the other big manufacturers, Chevy, Ford, Toyota, all, you know, they all have something out, right?
Yeah.
But I think you know, let's say for the Ford Lightning truck,
Yeah.
body wise, it looks good. But I think it's a joke.
Okay.
Just because, I mean, I think they're pretty good distance behind Tesla. I mean, as range, you know, if you have a trailer hooked up to it on its max weight, I think it's 10,000 pounds. I think, give or take, for the Ford Lightning.
I think
like,
so.
It's not
That's
much
around there. Yeah. It's not like an F-250 or nothing like that. Yeah.
No, sir. I think it barely gets 100 miles
On a full load.
charge. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean,
If it's pulling a full load, it
Right.
gets like 100. Yeah.
and if not, I think it's 350 max, maybe.
I think it's 250 to 300.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
something like that. I could be wrong, but it's around 300 miles. Yeah.
But for somebody like me, I'd be fucked. You know,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to mount a diesel or gas powered generator and hook it up to the truck while I'm driving, so I can keep going somewhere. I
Right.
mean, it's pointless to me. And then just the cost of it, it's just a joke. But me personally, since I've been friends with you over the last few years, I mean, I won't say I'll go buy one, but I'm starting to like the idea.
What do you like about it?
Well, I don't know. Maybe because it might cost me $4 to fill up. You know, charge it overnight. You know, that's
Gotcha.
compared to my, you know, $70-$80. You know, for full tank of diesel with my F-250.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's slowly growing on people. But I think it has, for me, I would have to have more use out of it. I mean, Matter of fact, yesterday with my F-250, I pulled almost 20,000 pounds in my truck, and they're not a electric vehicle that can do that
Right.
at all.
Right.
And I still got 250 plus miles on a full tank. So, you know, do I think they're moving in that right direction? Yeah, but in order for me to spend $80,000 on the vehicle, it needs to perform.
Yeah.
And as for mileage, you know, and torque and all that, yeah, you have it as soon as you know, stomp down, you have all the power at the, you know, all four wheels moving. Unlike mine, I had to wait for my turbo to spool up,
right,
for it to make power. But there's not a vehicle that can out-toll mine.
Right.
I think in 10 years, that might be a totally different situation and storyline. But as for now, I don't see one able to do it.
Yeah. So do you think that there will be a electric car at some point that's going to be able to like fit your need? Because so like you said, you have an F-250, you're often hauling something, right, for work or for personal or whatever. So you're actually using the truck for what it's intended to be used for, which is to like haul and pull and do a bunch of work. Do you think that will happen at some point, or do you think that's just like only a diesel truck will be able to do that? How do you think about that?
Well, I'm not a genius, nor am I a engineer.
Don't sell yourself short now.
No, well, hey, I mean, you know, I could teach you something just like you teach me something almost every time we
yeah,
meet up
we'll
and
have
hang
a
out.
talk, yeah, for sure.
You know, I think this has to do with the amount of, you know, energy stored in y'all's batteries that could really make or break y'all, right?
Right.
And plus two, you know, another reason why I'm kind of on the defense, for instance, if we go on a long trip, say from here to Louisiana, I don't want to have to stop and fight for a charging station. And how long did it take to get a full charge?
So the full charge takes about, with this car, about 45 minutes to an hour, depending. But the thing about the electric vehicle is, so what I found for my road trips, so when, you know, we take this car off in between Texas and PA, so we're doing another road trip in about a month here.
Right.
So what I found is when we're going to stop anyway for, like, you know, use the bathroom, let the dogs out or whatever, it's about 2.5 hours to 3 hours. And the car will do that no problem. And then what ends up happening is when we get out of the car, we use the restroom, we walk the dogs, we grab a quick drink. It's about 20-25 minutes for us. And then 100% of the time, basically, so every time we do that, the car is ready for us to go to the next stop, which is about 2.5 hours to 3 hours away. So every 2.5 hours to 3 hours, we do about a, say, 20 to 25 minute stop, which just happens to sync up perfectly with how we drive the car because we have dogs in the car.
Right.
Yeah. So but that's not a 0 to 60 charge. That's like a 10% to 80% charge. It's just with batteries, the closer you get to full, the slower it goes, because you can only push so much energy into the battery when it's full. It's kind of like a imagine having a glass, like a glass, right? And you're trying to pour water. The closer you get to the top, you got to slow down, otherwise it overflows. That's how batteries charge.
Well, that makes
any sense. Yeah.
No, it does.
Yeah. And so the idea is, if you have, like, say, the Cybertruck, which I know you think is the ugliest thing of all time.
And that's one of those only a mom and dad can love. It's ugly. It's well, let's not call it ugly. It's unique looking.
It is very unique. And just so everybody knows, I think when I get mine, would you be willing to get your reaction and stuff of the truck and everything for the channel? Would you be cool with that too?
Oh, for sure.
I think that would be so fun. But for that one, for example, the rumor is that it's going to have a 500-mile battery, right? So 10% to 80% for that, it's probably going to be like a 400-mile charge, and you'll get like 400 miles in probably 25 minutes.
But see, that ain't bad.
Right? That's not. Would you be like? Is that something you could live with? You know?
Yeah. No. Well.
And be honest, right? Like, no is a correct answer too if it doesn't fit your lifestyle, right?
Well, I mean, over time, everybody changes, right? So maybe in 5-10 years, I might be into that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't think I'll ever not have a gas or diesel powered motor. Just because, like, my diesel, I stomp on the gas pedal, and I got mine tuned to where it blows out black smoke, and you know,
you're that guy.
I'm that guy, you know, and I feel good about it. I don't feel like I'm hurting the environment at all, you know.
Sure.
But I think with how the world's changing, everybody has getting different ideas and opinions about how life should be. I can't tell you no.
Right.
There is a body style. Name a couple electric vehicles that aren't like Ford, Chevy, or anything that are out.
There's Kia, Hyundai, Volkswagen.
There's one that starts with the R.
Rivian?
Yes.
The pickup truck.
Yes.
Yeah.
That SUV I've seen in Austin.
Yeah.
And a few of them look, I mean, bad.
Yeah.
They look good. And I've noticed that they have a hydraulic or air suspension that raises it up and down.
Yeah.
Which is a great feature for me, you know, because in town you can have it stock, I guess, and then like go to the property,
right,
raise it up, you know, for the different type of terrain. So, but that body style is probably the nicest looking one that I've seen.
Okay.
So, I mean, I probably would go more towards that. But you've been telling me about this Cybertruck, and I've seen some reviews on Facebook, some good and bad. So
for the Cybertruck,
yes.
Okay.
So I'm definitely. I mean, once you get yours, I think that'd be great.
Hell yeah.
You know, because I know you let me test drive it.
Of course.
You know.
Yeah.
And then
hell yeah,
sit in the passenger seat, all that, so I can give my own opinion without you know spending a dime on it.
I think that for me would be great because it helps me understand too what people are looking for. So here we got an unprotected left. Let's see how it does this. So it's slowing down. It needs to stop. So it's going to stop here. See?
that one.
How did that make you feel?
Hey, I was about to say, you got insurance, we good.
You clench your butt cheeks there for a second?
No, I'm about to get paid.
This. So it's entering the. So there you go. So that's the car. There you go. So how do you think it did there? That unprotected left.
It's like, you know, it's like putting on a condom and you have a couple holes in it. You're playing Russian roulette. We don't know what's going to happen. You know.
Yeah. One of the things about so what's interesting about that behavior, right, is that it felt very inhuman, right? Like no person would do that.
No.
Right?
Well,
around these parts, you never know.
I mean, you know, I've noticed a few people. I'm not gonna say more than that. I don't want to get you in trouble.
No, you're good. You're good. No, but so it's stuff like that sometimes, like. What I found, because now I'm at the point where I don't really drive the car anymore. The car just drives me. And I've noticed, like, instances like that, I've gotten so used to the car behaving a certain way that I know it's going to complete it safely, but I would never approach an intersection like that. Like, I would stop at the line. I would wait to make sure that I'm going to complete the turn, and then I would go. This car is like, well, this looks safe, so I'm going to do this. Now, this looks unsafe, so I'm going to wait, right? So, like, the way it approaches the intersection is different. But the thought process is, as they get more data, so, like, for example, that right there, if I would have intervened, it would have sent, like, a snapshot to Tesla that said, hey, something happened here. We need to do something about it, you know? So, and that's how they're trying to collect data over time, is they're trying to find these situations where the car's behaving weird so that they can fix it for future versions, basically.
Well, and that's a good idea, I guess, to a certain aspect. But
Yeah.
the problem is you have a machine driving, and then you had like that woman who was turning, who was looking at us like,
Right. What the hell are you doing?
exactly.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that could intervene as a different person reacting different and then causing a wreck.
Sure.
Because they're too focused on what this vehicle is doing
Mm-hmm.
and not focusing on driving or making that turn. I mean, I guess all depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
For Tesla, what you're saying, that's really good data,
Right.
right?
Right.
But if that causes a wreck because somebody's not paying attention to their driving because they're paying attention to the car
Yeah.
reacting,
Yeah.
isn't a good thing.
Right. Do you think self-driving cars will happen?
Oh yeah, 100%. Because I don't know about in other countries, but in America, people are lazy. 100%. I think it'd be good for companies like Uber, right?
Sure.
They could buy a whole bunch of these cars, get them programmed, and then have it programmed to go pick up people who, send in a request to be picked up and brought to the airport, whatever. So that would be a huge investment because then you don't have to pay somebody to drive,
Right.
right? So long term, you'd be making money.
Right.
So yeah, no, I think 100%, especially in America and like real big fancy cities, they will be. But I think here in America, people just fucking lazy.
Yeah. Do you think people not in cities would also adopt, like say like suburban and urban areas? Do you think self-driving, as we got a little bit of debris on the road, let's see, okay, sort of avoided it. Do you think like suburban and urban areas would be willing to adopt self-driving as well? Or do you think it's just like a city thing? How do you think about that?
So going out to where our property is, 100%, they want to adapt to it, because where we're going, it's a small town vibe. They're country folk, farmers, ranchers, and most of them probably don't have the money to buy something like this to begin with, which, not being ugly, doesn't just
No, yeah, sure.
being real. And two, they're probably scared, intimidated by something that they don't have any knowledge about. So I don't ever see it being like that, and that looks like a wreck up here.
What about left here?
Or a tire blown out or something.
So what I did there, I forced the car to go in the left lane by hitting the left blinker there. Just so that's like an LME, like me just being extra cautious. I said, car, go to the left lane just to be sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good. But no, I mean, I think it just depends on people's priorities. I would never buy one just so he can drive me to work. That wouldn't make no sense to me.
Why not?
Well, because I like to be in control.
You like control?
Maybe I'm somewhat intimidated by myself because, as you know, I'm no IT guy.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
So normally people who don't have any experience or knowledge about it, they kind of tend to back off from it.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And
Well,
somebody like you, I mean, this is your life.
Sure.
This is what you do every day.
I'm very comfortable with it. Yeah. What would change your, like, is there anything that would change your mind? So like if you put yourself in a situation where you're like, this would make me want to own a self-driving car, or this would make me want to use a self-driving car, like what would have to be the thing that needs to happen? Or is there like absolutely, it's like zero deal because I don't have control?
Sounds fucked up, but if I didn't have, if I didn't have no fucking arms or legs, that would make really good fucking sense, wouldn't it? I know that's wrong, but let's,
Yeah. No. I appreciate the viewpoint for sure.
Well,
yeah.
a good thing you can edit this too. So.
No, that's staying in.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, fuck it. But no, you're saying so. But control is very important for you, is what you're saying.
For me, yeah.
Trust, like it's like, if it's like it's a trust thing. Like you as good as it might be, you still feel like you can't get over that hump because you're not in control.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, for instance, me and my wife, the family, I'm always the one driving.
Mm-hmm.
I like to be in control. I feel like I'm a better driver. My record since I was 16 probably says different, but that's just me.
Yeah.
And like I said, as simple as if it was man-made, you always have the potential of something to be fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's good over time, anything a man builds will always break at some point. And if it was me, I wouldn't necessarily care, but if I had my wife and the babies in the back, I don't think I want to leave it up to
the machine.
Right.
The artificial intelligence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, there's good and bad things about it as well, right?
Right.
So right now, I think this is great, especially, leaving a bar and have one too many, they just put on your address and take off.
Yeah.
But, there's still been wrecks happen with self-driving. That's one of the deals about getting data and making it better.
Right.
But still,
So I really appreciate that viewpoint because I get that. I get it. Because if you're somebody that wants to make sure that they're responsible for themselves and their family, and you want to do what you think is best for your safety and their safety, and you feel that, hey, if something's going to happen, I'd rather it be me messing up than something outside of my control, right? Because that's kind of what, is that where you're getting at, kind of? Is that a good way of putting it? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I totally appreciate that, I think one of the big challenges for self-driving to be adopted everywhere is that, and my wife and I talk about this all the time because we do these videos often, is the trust. People have to feel safe, and they have to feel that the car is going to do better than them 100% of the time, right? That's the only way to even get people to maybe entertain the idea to adopt a technology like this, right?
Yeah, for sure. But then again, a lot of people probably more on my side of that's just one less thing that somebody can take away from you. It's your own right to make your own choices.
Right.
As silly as that is.
I don't think it's silly.
So.
Why do you think that's silly?
Well, I mean, you can bring it that all the way back to politics and new laws being made, and you can't do this, can't say that.
Yeah.
So that's your own rights being taken away, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people might interpret the same thing as a smart car that's self-driving,
you're taking my right to drive away. It's basically how it could end up.
Which might come back to being intimidated by it.
Mm-hmm.
You could slice it 15 different ways. Everybody has their own opinion about it.
Yeah.
But that's something to maybe keep in mind as,
yeah,
because everybody thinks different, right? So,
right. So I'll give you my viewpoint on that because it's very interesting you bring that up. So I'll use the United States as an example. There is something a little over 30,000 deaths every year from car accidents in the United States. Drunk driving, distracted driving, people on their fucking cell phones, right? Just name it. There's
just a real shitty driver.
Just real shitty driver, right? But over 30,000 people die per year just in the United States. And so one of the ideas behind this technology is that over time, Elon Musk talks about this often, is that a human has two eyes and a head that moves and a brain.
Right.
And that's all you really need to drive, right? This car has 8 cameras, right? And a computer that with time is going to be 100 times better than your brain to process driving. And so the thought process becomes, at some point, if, say, every car on the road was self-driving, we could be at 0 deaths or maybe 10 deaths. You know, how does that sound to you? Like, what goes through your mind when I say that?
I don't know. I mean, it sounds good, right? But didn't Mr. Elon also say that AI is a dangerous thing to have?
He does.
So,
what do you think about that? It's conflicting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, obviously the man's a very smart, intelligent person, and if he doesn't know something, he has the money to pay for somebody who can figure it out.
Sure.
That's why he owns his business and pays everybody like you.
Right.
When you used to work for him, right?
Right.
So he, you know, regardless of the situation, I think it's silly to promote self-driving and vehicles and, you know, robots, and hell, they got damn robots that'll mow your yard now.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it makes you lazy, right? So he promotes that, and
Yeah.
I get it, but from the other aspect, you know, he goes live on TV and says AI is a very dangerous thing and you shouldn't fuck with it.
Mm-hmm.
So what's his point that he's trying to make? It doesn't make any sense to me, because in this kind of in the same boat as AI, you're having a machine do all the work for you, so you don't have to think.
Yeah, there's definitely I think there's a correlation there, like there's a connection there in some way. I think where he's coming from for the safety stuff, and then Elon, if you're watching this, drop a comment below and let us know if we're right.
I didn't mean to be bad. I'm sorry, but that's what he said. So
yeah, I think where he's coming from is more like as you know, like the whole ChatGPT thing. Remember that ChatGPT thing I showed you at my house? Yeah, that like thing.
I wish I had that in high school. I could have been.
Dude, none of us would have been in school.
I've been straight A's.
Yeah, exactly. All of us would have been, right?
Besides a straight C minus.
Yeah. So the thought process is, as all technologies get more advanced, it could be in a situation where, kind of like what you're saying, we're trusting the AI too much, and then the AI could do things that end up being more harmful to society than positive. And so one of the examples that he uses is, and this is like a loose example, it's not perfect, and he may have said a little bit different, but like in the situation of like a ChatGPT type deal, where you have an AI that you can ask it any question and it will give you an answer, it will tell you how to approach something. If that has a bias of, like, say, a certain political party or a certain world view, right? Like, oh, this is how you should like handle humans or whatever, it could actually end up causing a lot more harm than good, you know? Like the whole, like, you know, like the whole woke mind virus that people talk about, you know, there was a lot of controversy at the beginning, and it started to die down with like ChatGPT.
I don't think that section will ever die down. It's, you know, but go
like, as far as what would never die down?
I mean, just a woke to a certain aspect, you know, it's kind of like, well, it could be kind of like racism. Like, only how I feel like you can really kill it is not to talk about it, but
right,
that'll never die.
Gotcha.
So with that aspect, you know, what you're talking about, the woke, you know, everybody just.
You're saying there's going to be like always a human bias in this.
Yes,
is what you're saying. Okay, got it.
Yeah, I wish it wasn't, but.
And so I think that's what he's saying, is that I think that's his warning, is that maybe he feels responsible in voicing that warning because he is so, like, he's so involved in the development of AI. You know, he's like one of the leading figures in developing AI in the world. And maybe he feels a responsibility to vocalize, like, hey, yeah, I'm working on this, but I know that it's not, like, we have to be very careful in how we do it, you know? And I think that's where he's coming from, is that, you know, typically like say a Facebook or a Google, you know, and I'm not going to say if they're good companies or bad companies, but you never hear about the wordings or the bad things associated with their product. They're always very calculated. It's like, hey, Google is amazing, Facebook is amazing. There's nothing, they're not very vocal about what could go wrong. Whereas I think what's different about an Elon Musk figure is that he is vocal about, it appears, about the different variables and the different things that are involved in a technology like a self-driving. And so I think that's why he comes out and says what he says, because he's working on it and he's seeing that it could be dangerous. And he's, instead of like saying, okay, let's stop and not work on it anymore, or like, let's give it up forever because it could end up bad. I think the way he's approaching it is like, well, we can figure it out, but we really need to be sober about the potential bad things that could come down the pike. And if we're not talking about it, we can't prevent it from happening. I think that's his viewpoint. I don't want to speak for him, but yeah.
No, but how you just explain it into a different terms makes sense. But as everything that's been developed, produced, there's always going to be somebody behind the scenes that will make it better, but for harm.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, just say some military person gets a hold of it,
Sure.
change it up and go do bad things with it, or somebody with a lot of money that has bad intentions, right? So you could always buy something and pay somebody to change it to the platform that you want it,
right?
And it'll be used for bad, right?
I mean, we see corruption every day, right? Like humans are so easily corruptible, right?
Oh yeah,
across anything, across any technology or issue,
and it's so easy to reach millions of people in an instant,
right?
So
I see. Okay, so let me ask you this: like, so we've been in a car that's been driving itself for the last 40 minutes or something. So like, do you think this development should continue? Like, how do you view, like, if it was up to you, if like you were in charge of Tesla, like, would you continue this project?
Yeah, no, I would.
Okay,
but I would branch off and make it more of a style that I would enjoy.
What do you mean by that?
Well, more off-road.
Okay.
Be able to haul something 20,000 pounds like my truck does.
Yeah.
And range, not just driving without hauling a trailer, but have range while hauling a trailer.
I see.
Yeah. Because that'd be my biggest deal is just range. And like your Cybertruck, you said the max, I think it's 14,000 pounds.
Load,
right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I just did
20,000, right?
Yesterday, and that was with a bumper pull. I had a gooseneck. I could easily probably do another 5,000 to 10,000 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
That would be maxed out. Probably, the state trooper probably wouldn't.
I wouldn't be very happy with it.
Wouldn't be happy about it, but you could do it.
Yeah.
So that's my kind of format of what I would want to look towards too. Right now most electric vehicles is only for one type of people, and there's city folk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I don't think you can really deny that, right?
Do I am I categorized as city folk? Do you view me as a city person? You know what's hilarious? I've never lived in a city.
Yeah. that may be true, but
the way I carry myself.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, and that's the good thing about me and you.
Yeah.
That there's no, downgrading.
Right. No. Yeah. It's I mean, I recognize it. I mean, you and I come from such different backgrounds. We approach life very differently.
We do, but we still have the same. Well, I would say majority is the same ideas.
Exactly.
Exactly. So
and we've talked about this before. Like, one of my hopes with this conversation, is like, is it going to give him room? Okay, it's being a jackass.
Well, it happens.
Yeah, sorry.
Don't wave at him.
It was the car's fault, not mine. So like that's a perfect example, right? Like the car should have stopped for. Well, I mean, it depends on. Yeah, I mean, like here, everybody would have stopped for the car, right? So sometimes what I've noticed is this SD card here on this camera, it will just like freeze up on me. But it's fine. I just reset it. Okay, so it's going around this car, getting into a little bit quicker lane. Yeah, so like in that situation, I would have just stopped and let the car go through. And that's those like corner cases, they call them, like these specific situations where it's how many of them are there, right? Like how many thousands of little things that happen on the road are there that you would just do naturally, instinctually, right? But the car doesn't, like, again, it's not human in that respect. Like in that situation, it didn't do anything legally wrong.
No,
right?
It didn't.
But here, people are like, go ahead. Like everybody's like, go ahead. You can go ahead and sift, especially if there's a little bit of room.
It just depends on my mood.
Okay, so like sometimes you're like, screw you.
Yeah. Sometimes I'd say, I mean, my truck's 9,000 pounds. I do what the fuck I want. And some days I'm in a good mood, and I might let one or two out, and then fuck everybody else. I still want to get to where I'm going.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't think the car did anything wrong.
Right. For me, it's like it did. What's interesting about me being in the driver's seat of a car that is I'm not driving is that I am constantly judging the car based on what I would have done. But like an example like there, part of me was like, oh damn, like the car did something wrong. But then you're like, yeah, but it didn't really do anything wrong. It just didn't, let that guy through. But it's like there's nothing wrong with that. It's just it is what it is. It's just what happened on the road. So, and that's the thing that's interesting about this technology is that I wonder how many people will not use it because it doesn't drive like they do.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that comes back to earlier in our conversation about people that don't understand technology are probably intimidated by it because they don't have any control over it.
Right.
So, and that's probably part of my reason as well.
Right.
But if this was like a little Sunday drive to go to brunch or whatever, that'd be a great car.
Yeah.
But like Aaron Suburban, we got 4 kids and us, so that's 6 people. Plus luggage. If we go out of town, name one vehicle that's big enough to have all that.
Right, exactly. Yeah, for sure. How do you think the car's done so far?
I think it's doing good.
Yeah?
To be honest with you.
Are you surprised? This is what you expected? Like what's your vibe telling you? Like what's your head telling you?
Well, I mean, my head's telling me I'd rather have my hands on the steering wheel.
Yeah.
But I really don't have any negative thing to say about it.
Mm-hmm.
As far as driving, it's smooth, it's comfortable. I feel safe.
Okay.
It could be more because you're behind the wheel and you know everything about this car.
Right.
I don't know shit about it.
Right.
So that's probably another huge deal. If my wife were driving.
What? Okay.
Love you.
Without blowing our.
It's a joke. It's a joke. She'd be mad at me for it.
So we did a drive with my parents in the back seat, and I was asking my mom how she felt, and my mom's like, I actually feel really safe because I can see that the car can see things on the screen. Because if you look at the screen, it can see all the cars, it can see the objects.
It makes sense. Especially when cars are flying by you, there's a car that comes down.
Exactly. So
like right now.
There it is. Yeah. And then she was like, and then she said, I feel safer in this car driving itself than I do with your dad. Yeah. On camera. And my dad goes,
He was nice, wasn't he? He shook his head.
He's no, they're both hilarious. But yeah, I think the trust, like trusting it that it's safe, and it being comfortable are such important parts of it. But let me ask you a different question. Are you surprised, or did you expect that a technology like this exists right now?
Be honest with you, I already had a good idea on what this car can do.
Yeah.
And once again, it comes back to knowing you.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Because one, you ain't never lied to me. So if you thought there were some bugs and shit that needed to work out, me and you would have already talked about it.
Yeah.
And so for you to be so excited about this new update, because I talked to you Friday, and you told me that you just got a new update about it.
Yeah.
And you were excited about it, so so I'd say I'm about 90% sure that this would have went well.
Okay.
Just because, like I said, this is part of your whole life.
Yeah.
In a sense, and literally, I mean, we talked Friday, and you were excited as hell about an update, and I was like, well, shit, I'm waiting on an update on my iPhone. Like, what's the big fucking deal? Okay, cool. But that's me.
Yeah.
You, that's just you.
Yeah.
Right? So I already had good, positive vibes from it. But once again, I can't say I'm sold on buying one yet.
Right, of course. Yeah, and this isn't like an exercise to convince you. It's just an exercise. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then, so let me ask you a different question. Do you think, like, say the people that you talk to, your friends with, your family or whatever, do you think, or just think about like people in general, do you think they know something like this exists right now? Or I'm trying to figure out how impressive this is. Like, would this be very impressive to the regular person, right? Because I live this every day. This is extremely normal for me.
Right.
But then in my head, I'm like, I literally don't drive anymore. And that feels like a huge deal. Like, do you think this is a big deal? What's happened in the sport today? Or no? Or do you think it's just part of the natural progression?
I mean, that's a pretty good question. I think with the younger crowd, they already have an idea. You get to be our parents' age. This is something totally new. I'm sure they might have seen it on the news or whatever the case may be, but until they've been in one, I'm sure most people probably in their 50s and older, so to speak.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that can be a huge range of age, but I'm sure it would be shocking.
Yeah.
But if you and your wife never bought the house next to us back in the day, I would have never known about this.
Right.
Except for what I've seen on the news or some type of social media outlet.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, once again, I mean, I think this is a good positive forward step. But to have every car in the U.S. it'll never happen.
Okay.
The shits that's go. Oh no, we gotta keep going.
Yeah. It's gotta go next road here. Let's see where it goes. We gotta keep driving?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is like we reached here, but we gotta keep driving is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I'm gonna disengage self-driving. Okay. Let me see. All right, so let's just end it here then.
Perfect.
Right?
Yeah.
Dude. How'd it go?
Thank you. No, I liked it.
It was fun.
It was.
Yeah.
It was nice and relaxing. Wasn't stage fright, so to speak.
Good. Yeah, you felt pretty comfortable.
Well, I've been 100% myself.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
Good.
Perfect. All right. Bye, everybody.
Nice to meet y'all.
Nice to meet you guys. Nice to see you guys. And we'll see you on the next one. Peace out.
Bye.